and welcome to Capitol Review. I'm Mark Hall. The debate on political rhetoric has taken the spotlight this week after the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Kirk was shot and killed while on stage at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. It happened during the Turning Point USA's The American Comeback Tour. Police announced Friday that a 22-year-old man from Utah is in custody. Law enforcement has identified him as Tyler Robinson. Kirk's death has now called into question what needs to be done to lower the temperature when it comes to political rhetoric. Joining us is Dr. Todd Belt. He's a political science professor, and he also leads a political management program at George Washington University. Dr. Belt, welcome back to Capitol Review.
Thanks for having me on, Mark. It's great to be with you.
We're glad to have you, sir. The murder of Charlie Kirk has generated a lot of discussion about the political discourse in this country. Where do things stand right now when it comes to political violence?
Well, I mean, I wish the situation we're talking about would be different, but we've seen a lot of heated rhetoric around this killing, even before we knew who the shooter was or what their motives were. There were recriminations on both sides, some on the left saying he had it coming, some on the right saying that this was a political hit job when we didn't even know what the motivations were. And this is where we are in terms of our political dialogue. And it starts at the top with the president. The president said that it was inflammatory rhetoric that led to this. But if you look at when we've had an uptick in violence in this country, it coincides with 2016 when Donald Trump entered the arena. He did not start violent rhetoric or violence in this country. Obviously, we have a long history of violence in this country. People say that violence has no place in America, but it has a lot of places in America. There's a lot of examples of it. But it certainly upticked in 2016. There is data collected by the Global Terrorism Institute and shows in the United States there's a big uptick after 2016, and that most of it is right-wing oriented violence. This is not an equal. There is left-wing violence in this country, but the data is very clear that more of it happens on the right side. And if we look at what people say about is violence acceptable, when we ask them in survey questions, twice as many Republicans say violence is acceptable for political means than Democrats do. So this is not simply a one-side issue. It is a both sides issue, but certainly one side has been committing more acts of violence. And just remember January 6th when they brought a gallows with them up to the Capitol and they said hang Mike Pence, and they overran the U.S. House of Representatives, and one person was even carrying zip tie handcuffs with them. I mean, this is an epidemic of violence in this country, and if the president says it's because of rhetoric, it starts at the top.
How do we turn down the temperature? You say it starts at the top. We certainly can't rely on our political leaders to do that. Does this come from within, and where do you start?
Well, this is really the problem. It was easier to break it than it is to fix it. And there has been a number of political science research articles that have been published trying to tackle this issue of how do we bring people back together. I mean, if you think about how Bill Clinton handled the shooting, and you think about George W. Bush after 9/11, then I'm sorry, that was Bill Clinton and the bombing, and then of course 9/11 and George W. Bush. They tried to bring America back together, and so political scientists are trying to use a number of different tactics to see how we can bridge this divide in the country. And some of the ways they do that is by getting people around a table and just having them talk about what their values are, what's important to them. And then people are able to find common ground and do that. But it takes a long time, and it takes people talking to one another. There's also been studies that shown if you have people do anonymous writing together, then they become more civil with one another, even though they might be from very different backgrounds and dealing with very hot-button issues. And we also know that if you have adolescents engage in legislative mock-ups like mock Congress, they tend to be less polarized after doing that. And even our elected leaders, if they go on CODELs, which are congressional delegations abroad, which have to, by law, be bipartisan, they come back and they're more likely to co-sponsor legislation with members of the other side. So there are some fixes to this, but it's long, arduous, and it's going to take a while.
Dr. Todd Belt, thank you so very much for joining us.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.